Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our webinar today. We're delighted to be here with you and that you could join us on this spring morning to talk about digital strategies for B2B companies. We're really glad that you're here. So we do realize that you've got busy schedules, that you're all really busy, but that we're grateful that you've taken an hour out of your time to spend it with us. So let's enjoy our time together. We've made it as content rich and practical as we can think of. And so, please put away your other screens, put away your iPhones, sit back, enjoy the webinar, and please ask lots of questions. We'd be delighted to have any questions that you have during the webinar. While some of you are still logging on, let's do a quick introduction. I'm delighted to be joined today by James. James Bledsoe is the director of the E-commerce Solutions Center based in Washington, Seattle. And I'm going to let James talk a little bit about the E-commerce Solutions Center, what the services are, some of the attributes and offers, and some of his insights. I'm really pleased that James could share some of those insights today, both on AI, distributors, how to sell online, how to sell internationally, the importance of it, and so on. So really great that James is with us today. And myself, my name is Susanna, and I'm Chief Content Officer at IBT Online. Quick word on IBT Online as well. We're a US company headquartered in Florida, and we're an agency, a digital agency. We're what's called a full stack marketing digital agency. So that means basically that we create websites, we create e-commerce sites, we do online marketing, and we're especially known for our focus on American exporters for that. And as such, we've also developed some programs called the Online Global Programs, and these are in several states across the United States, and hold on, yeah, there we go, across the US, where we build best practice websites, we have e-commerce enablement, and we do digital marketing for companies there throughout. So that's us. Our agenda today, we've sort of split the agenda up into sort of 4 or 5 different big areas. I'm going to let James first talk a bit about the E-commerce Solutions Center and the U.S. Commercial Service, and then we're going to focus in on the selling internationally and how that can work for a company, just the top line stuff. And then we thought we'd really dive into the distributors, and that's so important for so many B2B companies in today's market. They're in-market partners, they're international partners, and how to find, evaluate, and manage your in-market partners, your distributors in these international markets. And then also we're going to do a little focus on artificial intelligence, how that's impacting the sales process and the marketing process in particular, and some key topics like that. We've left some time at the end for your questions, so we are looking forward to that. So with that, I'm going to turn over to James. Thank you very much, James. Over to you.
Thank you, Susanna. Good morning, everybody. My name is James Bledsoe. I'm director of the E-commerce Solutions Center, and I'm based here in Seattle, Washington. And my office works with the local U.S. Commercial Service offices to provide e-commerce resources and digital strategy resources for U.S. small and medium-sized businesses. And next slide, please. So for those of you who don't know or aren't aware of the U.S. Commercial Service, the organization that I work for, we're the export assistance arm for the U.S. government. What we do is we work with local chambers of commerce, SBDCs, Exim Bank to provide export counseling, market intelligence, business matchmaking services, and also offer commercial diplomacy assistance. For instance, if you ship maybe agricultural products or food product that's time sensitive and it's containers stuck at the port and you need assistance with that, that's something we can help you with. Next slide, please. We also have a whole bunch of resources and services for exporters, the businesses selling overseas. Things like our Gold Key service, initial market checks, international company profiles, as well as our global industry teams. So if you're in aerospace, safety and security, financial services, travel and tourism, design and construction, we have a team for you that can help you out and provide you resources, such as information and assistance on trade shows. I don't know if any of you participate in those, but that's something we'll cover today as part of finding distributors, is getting your name out there and helping support that brand and helping your distributor help you. Next slide, please. Some resources, some takeaways for you all as we get started on today's topic. I'd like to direct your attention to the e-commerce frontline library. So in our digital strategy counseling that we do with businesses around the US, this is a resource that we refer them to when it comes to content creation. What should that content look like? What do search bots want to see? We break down the articles as they are written in an SEO-friendly format to allow those search bots to access this information. So very good resource for next steps to look at, and also they're informative. So they also educate you on the topic that they're written about, in addition to being SEO-friendly. Next slide, please. We also have our Grow Your Export series here with IBT Online, our strategic partner for fiscal year 2025. IBT has been our strategic partner now for 2 years running, and also recipient of the President's E Award for exporting. And we have a series, all last year's series, online and at your fingertips if you'd like to go and see any one of these recorded events on e-commerce in Mexico, Canada cross-border, I'm trying to squint here, manufacturing companies. We have all of that content available and recorded for you to go register for the event, and then you have full access for the video. Next slide, please.
James, we're going to quickly interrupt you and ask, we wanted to ask the audience, are they already selling internationally? Are they internationally with an in-market partner, like a distributor, and online as well, or are they just online? Are they still thinking about it? Because our next topic is going to be, we're going to dive into the selling online part, where Jane's going to start by giving us some overview again about the key attributes that you need when you sell online. Just to give you a little bit of feedback, and thank you all so much for responding so quickly. Just to say, a lot of you are already selling internationally. But there's a good third of you who are still thinking about it. So it's interesting between those two mixes for that. So thank you very much. There'll be a couple other polls coming on, but right now we're going to focus in on the selling internationally, and James will walk you through some of those steps that he sees, and then we'll talk about the online side as well. Thank you. Selling.
All right.
Next. There we go.
Thank you. So what's it come to help you sell internationally? Well, it comes to having a online digital strategy here. And what that boils down to is basic common sense plan. And this is what yours could look like. Add a few steps, remove a few steps, but this is a good starting point for all businesses, B2B, B2C, new to business, been in business 100 years, looking to go online. It's all helpful. And it begins first with defining your digital objectives. Are you wanting to sell from your website, i.e. you have a shopping cart or at least an email to reach out to for sale? Or are you just selling through distributors in country overseas, and your website is just for brand promotion and brand recognition? Or are you a little bit of in between? That's something that you want to figure out before you start going down these different paths of business development to optimize these online sales channels. Next, once you've figured out how you want to present your sales online, you want to make sure that it's working properly, that your website is functioning properly, and that you have some idea what it looks like to the most important audience of all, at this point, which is search bots. They determine whether or not you show up in search. And so you want to make sure your website is appealing to them. And so search engine optimization is that process, basically holding up that mirror so you can see what a search bot sees. More importantly, what they don't see on your website that needs to be there for them to put you first in search. And so it's an extensive process. Some websites, as I'll cover in our WGR gap analysis service, some websites from clients are very robust, lots of content, and are functioning just well. And unfortunately, a large majority of our clients' websites aren't doing so great, but that's no fault to the owner of the website. That's simply because you haven't been able to see these things before. And so that's what these search engine optimization checks, in particular our WGR gap analysis, do for you, is allow you to see what you can't see on the outside. Once you get that second step done, the third step hopefully is common sense in that you fix those issues. What the search bots can't see, you add to your website so they can see it. Addressing that back-end digital infrastructure, things like also adding things like made in the USA to the headers and footers of your website to indicate that you do international sales, are things that you want to make happen to your website, again, for the purpose of getting more overseas sales. Once these first three steps are cleared, once you have your basic home base of your website functioning properly, and you know it's functioning properly, and you know what you're doing with it, then's a good time to look at your e-commerce sales channels. And I saw a few of you were through marketplaces, online only. Some of you were online and storefront as well. This choosing of your e-commerce sales channel mix is the allocation of your spend into these different channels. Is social media something viable for your business? Maybe, maybe not. You don't know. Maybe it's good for brand promotion, but not actual sales. Or maybe it's something that for your industry you don't necessarily want to engage in, like for safety and security, for example. Marketplaces, is that something that you want to have a storefront on at the very least for brand representation, or is that something you want to be selling through, your parts, in particular, your products? And then same goes for your website. Are you selling through that, or are you using that to, again, promote your sales? So there's a lot of consideration there. And again, you want to wait to do that decision of allocation once you understand the situation of, again, everything else. You want to make sure that you're functioning properly, I guess, to use an analogy like a smoothly running race car. All cylinders are firing before you enter that racetrack and decide, do I want the far left lane, the middle lane, or the inside track? And then last, but certainly not least, you want to establish some sort of key performance indicators. And this involves website analytics, which I can attest to statistically 99% of you, unfortunately, aren't really looking at in what I would call a meaningful way. And that's, again, nobody's fault for the fact that it's confusing. There's tons of information there. And so it really helps to take a step back and do some sort of SEO service. In addition to that, receiving counseling to understand what you should be looking at as far as website visitors, country of origin, and how long they're staying on website to help you dial in the content and to understand whether or not what you're doing is actually going to yield an ROI for you or not. Next slide, please. So with going back to the second step there with search engine optimization, it also involves a step called internationalization. And that's things like putting the made in USA on your website. Those are what I like to call international sales welcome mat gestures. So you're indicating to the visitor when they come to your website that you are open for sales, that you're not just there for local county sales in the US, that you're not just focused on a domestic market, but you're focused on a worldwide market. And then you're also making it clear, in addition to the fact that you do international sales, that you have lots of content that you're contributing that to your website search score through blog posts, newsletters, adding partners, distributors, what have you. Content is keywords, and that's what the search bots are looking for. So you're basically, to use another analogy, fertilizing your own website garden, I guess, with this content, adding it to your website so your search score can grow. And then again, you heard me mention looking at your website analytics. Now, why you're looking at this for internationalization is to see where your visitors are coming from. Where do you want to focus internationally? And looking at your visitors and their country of origin is a good way to gauge pre-existing international interest, and should also support your digital marketing or regular marketing efforts that are promoting your URL. You should see visitors from those countries that you're promoting in. Next slide, please. So going back to the third step, the SEO step, making sure that you do some sort of search engine optimization. Search engine optimization, again, is a process that you basically look at your website, see it from a search bot's perspective, understanding what they're programmed to look for, and you simply make sure that the things that the bots are programmed to look for are on your website. Now, there are a few services out there, but to my knowledge, so far, there's only one that focuses on combining the two lenses of search engine optimization and internationalization, and that's our WGR gap analysis service. So with this service that we provide at the U.S. Commercial Service, we take this two perspective look at your website, both from the technical and the business process improvement, the user interface, and provide recommendations for improvement. And in addition to these recommendations, we also provide referrals to service providers who can make these changes happen if you don't already have that in-house or subscribe to. Service providers like IBT Online here, our strategic partner, who's also listed on the e-commerce business service provider directory, the referral resource. We deliver this report, this gap analysis, this WGR to you. We deliver it to you over an hour on MS Teams, explaining the full, I believe, 40-page report that encompasses your website and your online digital footprint, and make sure that you understand in very basic terms and solid terms what is of importance and what is not of importance moving forward with changes to your website. And all of this is very affordable at just $100 per service, unless you're rather large, like 3M or Amazon size, in which case we would be charging you $400 for the service. But there's also follow-up after this with one of our trade specialists, whoever's located nearest to you in the city where you are located. We'll be following up with you to make sure that you have all the resources you need, such as STEP grant, if that's applicable in your state, and any other service provider resources or information, such as trade show information or trade leads. Next slide, please.
I think I'm going to just follow up on what James is saying as well, from our point of view, from point of view of digital agency. So strictly speaking, so, as opposed to the government agencies, we're often asked sort of, I'm a US company, I've invested a lot in my US website. How come it's not showing up? How come I'm not getting more Japanese clients or prospective clients knocking on the door? And the James mentioned this word of internationalization and localization, and basically this notion that search engines are localized. In other words, they take the point of view of the searcher. So if you are looking for your German prospective clients to find you on your US website, you might be disappointed because they're searching in German, for example. And I thought we would just take a silly example on the next slide. You see on the next slide, it's St. Patrick's Day this week. So I thought we'd just take a really silly example. Let's take Ireland. Okay, it must be a very, very, very easy market to get into if you're a US company. After all, they absolutely all speak English. It's their mother tongue. There's lots of links to the USA historically and today. Very, very friendly business climate. And the online environment is very similar. In other words, Google is the major search engine, Meta, Facebook and WhatsApp are all there. So this should be a really easy market to penetrate. You're sitting in New York City, you got Dublin over here, it's not very far. So, but how is it then that your US website is not showing up in the Republic of Ireland? Well, I'm just going to list here on the next slide just some of the basics of why. Just a couple of reasons why a search engine does not find that your .com is relevant to your little guy sitting in I don't know, County Cork or wherever. The English spelling. So the keywords are spelled differently. A top level country domain name is quite highly prized in the algorithms for search engines. That's your .com in the US. It could be .de in Germany. It is .ie in Ireland. It's metric, not imperial. There are lots of different references. I just gave the example there of NAICE and NICE codes. NAICE for the US, and Europe uses NACE. So all these things make it so that you are not always relevant to an Irish audience. And you can see some of them are about technical aspects and some of them are about language. So on this next slide, I've listed some of the main aspects of it, of localization. Hold on, it's the next slide. There we go. Oh yes, sorry. Before we get to that list, I want to talk about a buyer persona, because your Irish buyer persona, your Irish prospective client might not be the same as your US domestic buyer persona, and their journey along in the internet might not be the same. And these are incredibly important when you're looking at international markets, and sometimes ignored. And for the US market, your domestic market, you probably know your buyer persona inside out. You don't have to do that whole research. But if you're going into a new market or a new vertical or a new market geographically, you need to understand who is your prospective buyer as a person, and how do they find you? How do they engage with you? How do they interact with you? The screenshot here is L'Oreal USA, and that's how L'Oreal USA depicts its US buyer persona. L'Oreal Mexico depicts its buyer persona in a very different way. It's still top floor and so on, but as you can see, hold on, maybe move the slide. There we go. As you can see, it's more collegiate. There are two men in the picture. They're more sort of huddled together. It's a different buyer persona. Okay, so that's how L'Oreal is depicting its buyer personas in those two markets. And let me give you an example, or show you why this is important. If you're looking at your analytics, if you're looking at the results of any online marketing that you do, how your buyer persona reacts to marketing is important to understand their intention and whether they're going to buy from you or not. So you can see in this example, same platforms, Facebook in each case. It dates a little bit, as you can see. But anyway, same time, same ad, same platform, different language, obviously. One's in English, one's in Portuguese. Very, very different reaction from the buyer personas in this market. In Canada, you had a thousand engagements. In Brazil, same time period, actually faster, we had 20,000 engagements. Very different reactions. Doesn't all mean that those 20,000 went out and bought the product, but you have to understand how they're reacting in order to understand what is effective marketing and what's not effective, and how best to communicate with those buyer personas. So I mentioned I was going to list sort of those key characteristics that we have for an online for localization. And it really comes down to this slogan of respecting your local buyer persona and respecting that local buyer journey that they have. So put yourself in the shoes of your prospective buyer persona. What language, what platforms, where is it hosted? Is it up, if if you're not hosted optimally, then your website's going to be really slow to load. People are not going to, anything more than 2 seconds, people are not going to hang on. Also, all those things make for a relevancy for your local buyer persona, right? On the next slide, I think we have a poll. No, hold on. Let me see if we can get a poll now. Yes, let's have a poll. Would you like to learn more about international websites? If so, let us know, and we can send you some blogs or point you in the right direction. Send you some references, some resources, and if not, you can always come back to us or come to James at a later time, including, by the way, for the WGR. Have I got the initials right, James? WGR, the gap analysis that the U.S. Commercial Service provide for your website, if you want to learn about that and how that works. And again, thank you very much for voting there. That's very kind. Let's talk about empowering your distributors. Let's focus in now about one of the biggest challenges B2B companies find internationally. I'll go back and ask James to sort of outline some of the aspects that he's seeing from his experience on that. James.
Thank you, Susanna. Yes, this is something that the U.S. Commercial Service would call its bread and butter. This is what we know inside and out as far as providing export assistance to businesses out there. And some basic things when it comes to building a relationship towards finding an international distributor is building that relationship. It is an actual friendship, relationship, and it's recommended that you actually visit these distributors at least once or twice per year to help maintain that relationship status, because that's what's valued with overseas business, is that personal relationship and that trust that's built on the individuals. Cold, faceless business is not really looked upon favorably in a lot of countries overseas. And in some countries specifically, it's in fact advised to do a lot of one-on-one visits and refrain from kind of like a cold business relationship to actually really develop those relationships. Excuse me. As such, it's also very important to respond and provide feedback to your distributors as they're selling for you. You also want to make sure that you control the customer experience for your products and services with your distributors by making sure that you provide marketing materials and spare parts if that's applicable. That way, the customer experience overseas isn't different from domestic US in that, oh, we can't get parts for this, it's not a great product. And that's not the case in the US. And then also you want to do things again like translating your website, translating product brochures, spec sheets, installation manuals. You want to make the process of selling your products or services for your overseas distributor as easy as possible. You don't want to leave these sort of translation things up to them to possibly be not done up to your standards. And then you also want to do things like provide sales contests and promotional swag to help motivate these overseas distributors. Everybody likes swag, myself included. I love that part about trade shows, which again is another thing we recommend is supporting your distributors through trade show representation and giving them shout outs there. Bringing them to your booth to be representative there at that trade show, those sort of things. Next slide, please. So building that relationship is important, but finding an international distributor can also be equally as important, or rather finding the right international distributor. So it's really important to do your research, your homework when it comes to this. You want to research the markets, the countries, how business is done, what products, services relevant to yours are being sold, what are adjacent to yours also being sold that could also use your products or services, and then also research your competition, spy on them. Not corporate espionage, no, but just pay attention to what they're doing. And at the end goal of this is essentially to copy or piggyback what they're doing to try to capitalize and compete with them overseas or where they're not competing and try to kind of capitalize on that. But throughout all of this, when you're looking for a distributor, is you want to remember that you aren't selling your products or services at this point, but you are selling your company to a prospective partner. And so you want to keep that in mind at all times when looking at this process, looking at potential agents, distributors, what have you. You're selling yourself to that distributor to sell your products for you. So you want to really invest a lot in that image, that branding, the marketing, your research, and knowing what you're doing. Next slide, please. So what are some red flags to watch out for when screening for or looking at potential international partners, distributors? Well, if there's any kind of undue urgency or pressure to commit to a contract, that's usually a warning flag, no matter what, be that a individual call or business call. Very rarely, outside of my own experience in the military, is there ever a case for life or death urgency to get a deal done. So don't feel pressured to do that. That pressure could be a warning signal. Um, any request for advance payment or requesting high value samples is another warning flag. It may be that it is justified in the samples depending upon your industry, but if it's being requested ahead of time, I would again proceed with caution. You might want to do some due diligence, some research, do some vetting on that prospective distributor. Do things like looking at their email, hover over the top of it, and see if it mismatches with their website domain. If it's at a earthlink.net email and their website is abcor.eu, those two don't match up. That's a red flag. You don't even want to respond to that email. And then other things like you want to be wary of malicious attachments from out of the blue emails. Here's a spec sheet for you or an RFP that you didn't request. Open it and we'll start talking business. Well, if you open it, there could be some nasty Medusa Trojanware in there, and you are now ransomware. Um, and then also be wary of name dropping, presenting the names of high net worth individuals. The Prince of Azerbaijan requests that you provide products and samples, and he will reward you handsomely. No, 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 no. I don't think so. And then also in the due diligence, looking at the website. If the website just looks atrocious and is one page, doesn't really tell you much about them, and you don't really feel like they're very trustworthy, they probably aren't. So proceed with extreme caution, or as we would counsel, don't proceed at all. Next slide, please. So, what are some resources that are out there to help you find these distributors, agents, and partners? Well, if you're not sure where to go internationally and market research isn't really your thing, we have an initial market check service with the U.S. Commercial Service where, for a small fee, we'll go ahead and shop around your products to see if they are viable in those markets. And you can get a response back from our U.S. Embassy personnel on the favorable or unfavorable conditions for your products or services. We also have an international partner search where you'll receive a list of up to 5 potential agents or distributors who are interested in your products that have been advertised around. And you may reach out to them or have us facilitate official introductions to get that started. And the next step up from that list would be the Gold Key service, our flagship service, where, as recommended, you fly out 1 to 2 times per year to visit with your potential distributors. With this Gold Key service, we set up these services in country with up to 5 pre-screened in-person appointments at a location of your choosing. Most folks usually choose something official, U.S. Embassy, that sort of thing, to host these meetings. And they really help to impress those overseas distributors that you're trying to win over. Now, if you're not quite sure about an international distributor, you're getting some red flags, but it seems like you might want to check it out a little bit further, we have an international company profile, which is a service that is a comprehensive company background report, including financials, official financials, so you can get a better understanding of whether or not your distributor just opened up shop 6 months ago or has been in successful business the last 16 years in country, and it is safe to proceed. And then lastly, if you are really looking to make a splash in country and are looking to open up those purse strings a little bit more to a customized sliding scale, fee scale here, because it involves a lot of man hours, we have a single company promotion where we help roll out the red carpet for you in the country of your choice, market of your choice, to help make meetings and really, again, make that good impression that you want to make overseas with your potential partners. Next slide, please.
James, I thought I would just dovetail with some examples and give a sort of distributor use case from our point of view as well, just to put some flesh on it, because I mean there's so much information and so many different services from the U.S. commercial service. So how does it all, how's it all work from our point of view? So from the point of view of an agency, I thought I'd take the example of a company, of a client of ours. They're called Amsoil, a Wisconsin company. They make synthetic motor oil. This is their US website, and as you can see, it's very complete, has an e-commerce functionality, but I wanted to show you how many sites they have internationally as well. So they spend a lot of time on their international sites as well as their domestic sites. So you can see there they have all those international sites as well. And they have, they're a privately held company, but they are very, very careful, cognizant, aware of their brand and of brand management. They realize that their brand is the most important asset that any company has. It is the asset that allows you to fight against price erosion, that allows you to reach out and find good distributors and have long-term sustainable sales. So I thought I'd give you some examples. So on this next slide here is an example of just some screenshots of what they're doing in Mexico in particular. They basically have a super distributor in most big markets who then manages their sub-distributors. But all marketing and all branding stays with the company, stays with Amsoil. So that Amsoil's task is to generate leads, in a sense, for those distributors. They expect their distributors to be there to do things like logistics, sales installation, after sales, supplying, all those things on the ground. But the brand management stays with the company. And this is something that we feel is very, very important. Sometimes a company will come to us and say, oh, my distributor built a website for me in that country. So the distributor owns the URL in that country. And maybe that's a good thing, but maybe it's not a good thing. Maybe this is not a good thing in the long term to give away important online real estate like that. And to give, not all distributors also have long-term good relations with you, and not all distributors are really good at marketing and brand management. You'll find that they might market their own brand rather than their own distributor brand rather than your brand. So we really encourage companies to make sure that they own their online real estate. They own their online brand, and that's so important for them. So as I said, Amazon is a good example of a company that generates online marketing in each of its main markets, which then generates the lead generation for the distributors to supply the products. In Africa, they had a different scenario. So, how to find distributors and how to build a global distributor network. James mentioned some of the ways, but some of the other ways we see directly online, they didn't have enough distributors in Africa. It's a whole new continent for them. So about a year ago, we set up an Africa website, and the prime focus of the website is brand management and finding a distributor. And that's why the Become a Distributor is at the middle, the very center of the website. So it's, in terms of priority, it is the thing about the website that you will see. So it's not sort of hidden off on the right-hand side next to the contact button. It's right in the middle. And then they have dedicated pages which says, move up to AMSOIL and take your business to the next level. It's if you become a distributor for us, you benefit too. That's what James's slides were also saying about, that you're engaging with the persons, that they can also make money. They have to find you attractive as well. And then obviously the map that shows where they're found a master distributor in each of those countries. And that's within 12 months. So it's worked out very well. One of the aspects also about having this dedicated space, this dedicated website for finding distributors, is that you can validate your distributor leads very well. And on that same Africa website, contact forms are normally very short because you don't want to overwhelm your contact. You have your name, your company, your email, But if you've got a distributor website looking for distributors, in that case, you're going to put a lot more on that contact form. You're going to ask them a lot of questions and a lot of things to say, okay, well, tell us a bit more about you. To James's point, you don't want these, these are red flags that you could spot right in the beginning. Tell us about you, tell us about your company, more about us, what's your experience, and so on. And that whole sort of I've taken a screenshot of the contact form. You can see how many boxes there are to fill out just for this. So that's a way of validating that first search of the distributors as well, and also adding that you can show the distributor on these pages how much they will get by becoming a distributor for you. They will have marketing assets. They see that they're really a very serious company on that. The other point about using web tools to manage distributors is that you can both monitor them and support them. So these are screenshots from some of our other clients, and they said, well, how are we supporting, we have all these different distributors. It's really tedious because, we have to send out our spec sheets to all these different ones. No, put it all on your website. All distributors have exactly the same information at the same time. So no more grumbling about, well, I'm not getting the same assets as that one is getting. No, you put it all on the website at the same time, and it's a portal. They can download it when they want. They can look at it. They can share it with everyone they want. So that's a portal for supporting your distributors. And the other thing that allows you to do is to make sure that if they're on an even playing field, you can monitor them and see who's doing well and who's not. They all have the same resources. You're giving them the resources they need. You're giving them online marketing in their distinct markets. You're giving them the spec sheets and the support that they need, the websites that they need, the online tools they need to market your products well. Now you can monitor them well and say who's doing well on this and who's not. And there's no more excuses for them to say, well, I'm not doing as well because I don't get as many resources as the other person. No longer the case. So that's another thing you can do with your websites and your online assets. Right. I think we wanted to talk about another big trend at the moment, which is AI. We thought that's also something that's getting a lot of attention from all of our B2B companies at the moment. How is it affecting things? What is it? Everyone knows about it, but everyone's like, how do I get involved? What do I do? Is it impacting me? Should I pay attention? I was going to ask James to start this ball rolling. and talk a little bit about, AI expenditure. James.
Thank you, Susanna. Yes, AI is, well, it's a topic that a lot of people don't seem to understand that much about. But as the old cliche goes, history seems to repeat itself. I'm sure it was the same when electricity was invented and the same when computers first hit the scene. And this is that next evolution. And so, what we're seeing here worldwide with this technology is the US, again, leading the way with expenditure into it, followed by China, Japan, and Germany and South Korea. These are heavily industrialized countries with a lot of B2B manufacturing. So, key into that. Next slide, please. Uh, what's the impact on the industries? I think is the biggest concern for a lot of folks out there. Getting over this hurdle, is it going to replace me? Are we going to have, a Terminator 2 type situation with Skynet? Personally, I don't think that's very likely at all. Having used ChatGPT and MS Copilot extensively on projects, I can tell you, I can only wish it could get that good. It's a tool. It's only as good as the user, and I'm not that great at using them, so I don't see it coming for us anytime soon. What I do see it happening to the industries is having the most impact on banking and insurance, automation of calculations, transferring of funds, that sort of thing. Those two industries will have the largest impact on that, to include distributed ledger technology, aka Bitcoin, is also rolled up into that AI impact. The most beneficial impact that will have on the industries will be on healthcare and public service sectors. Even though I have seen the latest news reports about nurses getting nervous about AI replacing them, not so much the case. I feel it'll actually help their jobs along, in so much as the predictive technology that will help them to do their jobs more efficiently and more accurately, tracking the patient trends over several days, offering recommendations from medical citations. That's the kind of predictive AI technology that would be used in the healthcare. And then public service sectors, obviously, would be government, myself as well. Technologies helping us do our jobs more efficiently, better, and with better insights that would take far too long to do on one's own manually. And then last, the industries that are, I would say, completely safe from any kind of AI takeover or really any much help from AI aside from software programs for labor tracking and that sort of thing, would be natural resources, logging, mining, drilling, anything along that line, chemical production. Really, the only two benefits or impacts I could see to these two industries would simply be tracking of quality, perhaps over time, seeing a decline in equipment from my own experience in those industries. Working in them, that's really the only benefit I could see is learning that your equipment is wearing and tearing, which piece of equipment specifically, based on ratios, who knows. But consumer goods and services, again, completely safe from AI. The only impact to those industries, again, will be software for labor tracking, CRM, opportunities, essentially, will be coming and arising from AI in those industries. Next slide, please. So what is AI being used for in B2B? Well, primarily it's being used in the procurement process. And again, you heard me highlight better analysis of data, of timesheets, of products, of logistics routes, cost benefits analysis. Um, Time will be saved on some automation, whereas now it may have to be routed through this individual and that individual. That may be automated in an online checklist, which I'm experiencing myself in our own services for the U.S. Commercial Service, where I'm authorizing my own services, um, and that's the extent of it. And then also improve connectivity with other online systems. And so you'll be able to get better connectivity with your bench stock, inventory, what your distributors have on hand, forecasts, that sort of thing will be heavily used in B2B with AI technology. Next slide, please. So again, just to reinforce what industries are using AI, and as we can see, it's not a steady, straight increase. The last few years, it's been a forwards and backwards adoption, both with regulation and technology developments. But primarily, you're going to be seeing it used in banking, again, retail, sorry, not retail, professional services. Those two blues are too similar for my eyes. Process manufacturing, not so much, but then a whole lot of others, quote unquote, and use your imagination on who could use tools to software, essentially, predictive software that can help them optimize their business. These will be the industries using the AI moving forward. Next slide, please. So I think this slide might be helpful at the beginning of this discussion, or it might be helpful at the end, depending upon where you're approaching this topic from, as far as I need to understand how AI is shaped before I can begin to wrap my head around it, or I need to have my concerns assuaged before I can then settle down and understand what this AI thing is. Simply put, AI is software. It is a program. It's a mathematical algorithm. We've been using them for years. The search bots, those are AI. The chat bots, those are all AI. Been around for years. It's nothing new, but it all has these different technologies housed underneath it. For instance, machine learning. I'm sure we've heard a lot of machine learning and how it's going to do this or that. This is what machine learning actually is, and it's quite simple. It's the same thing as human learning. You provide training data, it goes into the algorithm or learning. The program tells it this data is this, it is over here, these categories. The machine learning then categorize it based on other sub-software developments, what they're programming it to do, to look at it again, edit it again using these resources, kind of like when you use Chat GPT. Go to this website, write me a job application for this job announcement here, but use language from this website. I can get it to do that. It's the same process of machine learning, only it's learning to do that on its own. I go in here, I'm programmed to use this website, and then I need to go find another website. That's it. It then applies that, meaning it does that, and you get your output, and it does it again. That's what machine learning is. It is simply a learning cycle that software, kind of like the Oregon Trail game, the old school Oregon Trail game, where you're inputting yes or no, but at a little quicker pace and a little bit more sophisticated. Essentially, that's what's happening. And so you have these processes of the supervised learning. I'm watching it to make sure it's doing what it's supposed to be doing. The unsupervised learning. I give it an input and I assume it's going to do what it's supposed to be doing. And then the reinforcement learning. When I find out it has hallucinated and come up with results I don't like, I need to go back, a human, and reinforce some instructions to it, i.e. fix the programming. Kind of takes the shine and the whole magic off of it when I explain it this way. And hopefully that's the case for you in going, that's it. Yeah, that's it. It is glorified Chat GPT. And so that trickles down to robotics, artificial neural networks, several Chat GPTs talking to each other, hallucinating with each other. And then you've got generative AI that is out there creating iffy borderline artwork at best, and deep fakes. are also coming from generative AI. But again, it's all, you can kind of all tell it's not very sophisticated. And once you understand that this is what's actually going on for AI, it's not that, again, mystical. It's not magical. It's simply robots, punch cards, or rather the electronic version of punch cards to make them do A because I'm telling them to do A. Next slide, please.
James, I thought I would give some examples on marketing and marketing. To James's point, uh, online marketing is basically AI. All that SEO, all the chat bots, the analytics, the Google, that is based on AI. So in that sense, online marketing has taken up AI very quickly, and is one of the industries that has either adopted it or refused it or integrated it as quickly as most other industries. The Chat GPT is, as an LLM, a transformative one, can be transformative, and I want to show you a couple of examples. But the main challenge really today is how to integrate the correct type of AI into your sales and marketing processes, into your marketing processes. Let me give you just a little example. One impact is the impact of AI, especially ChatGPT, being used as a search engine. Now, this slide here is very messy and hard to read. Sorry, but I wanted to just take some screenshots of some analytics from clients that we have at the moment, and we can see that chat is being used, has gone onto their website and pulled information off after someone's been querying. So someone put in a query that was relevant to one of our clients' websites. So chat is being used like a search engine. And these are just sort of chats over the last sort of 3 months, but you can start to see the increase of that and the increased dynamics of it. I mean, this time a year ago, you didn't find chat in your traffic acquisition analytics. The big chart there on the right hand side of the screen just shows traffic acquisition, and ChatGPT is in 12th place. But that doesn't sound a lot. But a year ago, it wasn't there. That's just below ThomasNet, and this is for a B2B company. So ThomasNet is, you all know what that is. And ChatGPT is just below that and gaining market share day after day, month after month. So it is worthwhile understanding how AI, and notably the transformative AIs like the LLMs, like Chat, and like Google Gemini as well, how they're changing the online world, and notably anything to do with how your brand and how any SEO, any marketing that you might be doing. This will probably be the subject of another webinar at another time, but I just wanted to give you one slide about the impact on SEO. So how does artificial intelligence impact, excuse me, your search engine optimization? James touched on this as well, and I just wanted to give you a quick nutshell as well from our point of view. AI means an increased importance about your brand identity. It is increasingly important to understand and manage your reputation, your brand, and anything that reflects on that brand, whether it's client testimonials or even Google rating, those star ratings, customer reviews, anything like that becomes more important with the LLMs, with ChatGPT. Some of the big things that you can do to help is to try and understand how, just instinctively for your own point of view, how do you go on and search longer tail keywords is a key one. That's obviously very important. Quality content is obviously very important. Any kind of problem solving. I've captured it as much as I could in a short phrase. Google, people still go on it for finding stuff. Hi, where's the best pizza place here? Search for information. AI, you go in to search for solutions. So you need to make sure that your clients find you. I'm wary of time, so I'm going to speed up the next one. I say, and as I said, we can have a whole other webinar just on AI. The future of sales, from our point of view, is very much customer centric. Customer centric means that you go on the platform that your customer wants. You respond to the problems that your customer has. You look at them in terms of their online presence. Remember that phrase, respecting your local buyer persona. Our last poll, I think we just have time for that before we have question time. A quick poll, I think, and then we do have a couple of questions. Would any of you like to have more information about the online marketing side, or would you like us to contact you or send you some blogs or point you in the right direction? Please let us know, and I would be happy to do that. And again, thank you very much for those prompt things. And I realize we're quickly running out of time, so let's get away to takeaways, next steps, Q&A. Just very briefly. Message from our side, from the online marketing side, is to respect your brand, to have to put your brand foremost. It is the thing that stops you from price erosion. It is the thing that allows you to engage distributors in a healthy way. It is the thing that allows you to have sustainable long-term sales growth. And if you think that that's important on your domestic market, it's even more important internationally. For many reasons. One, your brand isn't known internationally, but also because other markets, non-US markets, look for brands even more than the US market does on social media. If you go on social media in other markets, you will find that they are very much looking at brands in what they purchase. This chart here, the white line is the worldwide average. That little red arrow is the USA. So right down there in the red, in the low end of that graph. So if you're going internationally, your brand is even more important than in the US market. A few digital must-haves. Basically, to echo what James was saying earlier, just make sure that your website is working hard for you. If you're unsure, contact James and get a WGR. So I've got the gap analysis. So I've got the acronym right, that U.S. Commercial Service can provide. Is it mobile enabled? Is it working well for you? And we wanted to give you some easy international wins as well. I think we've said all of these during the presentation. Some easy international wins. Value URLs. Hold on, where are we? There we go. Value your URLs. Make sure people are aware that you are, in the USA but can export. And make your get in touch easy, and then focus your attention on single markets. Don't spread yourself too thin. It's something we see frequently from our clients. Don't spread yourself too thin. On the next slide, I think we have also, yeah. I think we have that one right. Next one. Empowering your sales and marketing team. Just some very quick thoughts on that, and how I like to put it with our clients is to say, okay, try to bring your website and your online presence into your sales and marketing meetings. Most companies have at least once a week meeting with their sales and marketing team. Think about, pull up a chair for that website. Going to a trade show, what's the impact on my website? What should I be doing on my online presence? Got a new product? How should I market this? What am I doing on my online marketing? Got a hot lead? Send them a link with a client testimonial. Segment your CRM. All those kind of things have to be, your online presence has to be part of every single sales and marketing team meeting. Right, I think we're really running out of time. There's lots more you can get from our website, which is ibt.onl. There's lots of free resources there. And then, as James has mentioned, there's a lot on his e-commerce, the e-commerce research and the e-commerce solutions center that you can also plug into. There's a whole bunch of questions, and I think that as we've run out of time, we will respond to them individually by email. One of the things that's come up again and again is, are we getting a recording of this? Yes, you will get a recording and the slide deck. If you want the slide deck, let us know, and we will send that to you individually. But otherwise, you all get a recording of this in your inbox tomorrow. I wanted to thank James so much for his time and insights and experience that he shared today with us from the e-commerce solutions center. And most of all, thank you all for attending. And yeah, we're just past the hour. Sorry about that. Thank you again for attending, and we'll see you at the next event. Stay tuned. Be well. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Susanna, and thank you, everyone.
Thanks, James. Bye.